On the 14th of December, 2021, the Florida Maquis began making a series of videos counseling people, actually begging people, to get out of the cryptocurrency markets as soon as they possibly could. There were warning signs flashing everywhere that they were on the verge of collapse. Tried to make the analogy to the pirates of the West Indies in the 1700s, and how when they had realized their increase for whatever plan they had, they simply walked down the dock, got on the ship, and left, leaving people vulnerable, leaving people with no other options. I asked my audience, are you ready for what's coming? Are you ready for the real collapse? This is it. It has arrived. See, the world knew back then, 300 years ago, that what these people were doing was going to be destructive to everyone. The pirates of New Providence Island threaten maritime trade in the region. The laws of every civilized nation declare them hostis humani generis, enemies of all mankind. In response, the pirates adhere to a doctrine of their own, war against the world. That's exactly what the crypto world has done to the civilized world. I made the allegation that there were those who knew exactly how to play the game. They knew the mental weaknesses of their targets, and they knew them well. And they knew how to keep them in long enough and keep them dumping money in long enough to make them obscenely rich, while they left everyone else holding the bag. Bitcoin has now dropped to 18,215. This chart really doesn't do it justice. This is the 1 year. Right about here is where I gave the warning. Get out of crypto. Sell. Take what you have, no matter what loss it's at right now, and get out. Had anyone listened at that point in time, and some people did, they would be 62.63% richer. Meaning if you had $100 then, and you had stayed in the markets, you'd only have $38 now. Let me say that again. If you had stayed in the markets then, with $100, for every $100, you'd only have 38 of it left. That's how massive the collapse has been. From its top, it's got to be well over 75% here. Let me see what it is. From its top, it's down 73.2%. And they're saying it's not stopping. There's no event that they foresee coming up in the next 2, 3, 6 months, a year, that's going to cause anyone to put any more money into it. And that's the only way it goes back up right now, guys. The only way it goes back up is if people start dumping dollars into it, and nobody's going to. This is the first video. And the reason I'm going through these is because it's a great illustrator of how the mind works. How when people attach to something and they give it some type of a moral component, they won't listen to reason, and they won't even look at warning signs. This is 14 December. Markets plummeting, crisis getting deeper by the hour. Now only real goods will have value. And this was the first place I made the allegation that it was pirates and people with that mentality that were doing this. And at this time, it was at 47. The next day, I say to my audience, please, China, Bitcoin crackdown. It's going to cause it to collapse. What do the experts at Yahoo Finance say? Oh, fantastic news for crypto. The China Bitcoin crackdown has actually been good. This was 15 December 2021. How they said it was going to make it go up. Complete and total falsehood. They were trying to keep people from selling. The next day, 16 December, crypto alert. 2 major countries have now banned the possession of all digitally mined assets. India, Russia, and China. All of them went after this. But still, those 3 days, 5,800 views, 4,800 views, 4,000 views. Even though everything I was saying could be proven in reality, because people had an emotional attachment, a psychological dysphoria about their cryptocurrency. It affected my view rates terribly. And here's 17 December, 4 days in a row. I even talked about the exact fallacy, the fallacy of sunk cost. It's what gamblers do. They throw good money after bad, thinking they can turn their luck around. It's like, I've already spent this much money or time, whatever, I got to keep going. There's no reward at the end of that game. People would show up at my comments section and say, Florida Maquis, if you counsel people to get out of Bitcoin and they've made any money at it, you're triggering a tax event. Are you sure you want to be responsible for that? Because if crypto goes up, you're going to have cost to people a lot of money, and nobody's going to want to watch your channel ever again. Nobody who knew anything about what was going on was saying that crypto was going to go up. Now, the rate at which it's collapsed has been pretty epic. But there were other events, speaking specifically to my detractors here, that I was trying to avoid. You know what the events I was trying to avoid was? The hunger event, when it came to children. The repossession event, maybe the only means of transportation somebody had being towed away. Or the eviction event, where somebody was left outside on the sidewalk with nowhere to go because they left their hard-earned money in crypto, or they kept buying the dip, taking their hard-earned money and putting it into something that was failing and flailing. You see, because all of these things were going to lead primarily single moms to other events that aren't quite so savory, putting them in horrible, horrible positions. See, there were going to be discussions all over the place. Where's my child support? You've always been good about paying my child support. Why don't you have it now? Well, my boss got involved in cryptocurrency and he's lost everything and I got laid off and I don't have a job now. Divorce events, separation events, heartache, pain, wondering, sitting up all night, sometimes until dawn. What am I going to do? Where's the money going to come from? What if my kids come running in right now and say, Mom, we're hungry. We are so hungry. Can we have pancakes and bacon for breakfast? And you've got to sit there and you've got to tell them no, because you don't have the money. It was that or pay the light bill. See, that's what I was trying to avoid. See, if people who doubted me had taken $1 per month and joined us over at Patreon, they'd be a lot richer right now. They'd be a lot richer because they would have understood through the training, the dozens and dozens of videos that we've done. Wow, this is how they're keeping me believing that Bitcoin is a good thing. Here are the techniques. Here are the specific cognitive biases, the specific logical fallacies that everyone has, that they know I have. That's how they're keeping me in chains. That's how they're keeping me poor. This was the best $1 I would have ever spent. Could have been something they said, but they didn't. That's why we would love to have you over at the Patreon channel. This is the exact thing the military teaches its interrogators, to break people, to get them to speak. I have that training. I've said before, I was no super soldier. I was no door kicker. I was no sniper. I was not special forces. I was not Delta. I was nothing. I drove a desk most of the time. But my job was to know the mind, how the human mind works, and nobody is exempt from this. Everybody will fall victim to this if they don't know it's coming. For $1, you can have these tools, these tactics, this training. It's even less if you sign up for an entire year. And if you don't value it after 90 days, you get your $3 back. Fully refundable. Would love to have you. Our mind can play tricks on us and influence our thoughts, emotions, and actions. These faulty beliefs are known as cognitive distortions, logical fallacies, and cognitive biases. The primary one that is going to break most people is the sunk cost fallacy. Reasoning that further investment is warranted on the fact that the resources already invested would be lost otherwise known as putting good money after bad, not taking into consideration the overall losses involved in further investment. A lot of young ladies and women in my audience have kind of recoiled a little bit at some of the advice I've given for the coming collapse about how perhaps not being alone and looking at relationships differently might be something to consider for safety and security's sake, because safety and security is something we've taken for granted in this country, largely due to socialism, primarily. Most of the people that complain about illegal immigration are the ones that are saying that it's overburdening our socialism, our public services. I showed this image from Colony because on its face, people would look at this and go, okay, well, there's a young woman and kind of an older guy, nothing to really, write home about. There's a bit of an age difference there, I think you can see. But if you knew the story and how this relationship came to be, many people would be like, oh, really? That's how that happened? I'll let you go watch Colony. I'm sure a lot of you already know the story. 56 and 38, nothing to write home about, at least in Florida. But that they ended up together in real life shows the power of psychology. Never doubt it. And I would really love to hear you blockchain experts try to explain how you could have counseled people back in December to stay in, to continue to throw money, buy the dip, because that's what they did. See, let's go back here. You see, people here, when I started saying, get out of it, they were saying, oh, well, it's dipped. I'm going to buy here. So you're going to buy at 46,690, right? Well, guess what? By January, it was down to 35. Oh, I'm definitely buying here. I'm going to buy this dip for sure. Well, guess what? It went up a little bit. And people were like, see, there you go. And it's like, wait a minute. Now it's at 29. Just in May. Oh, this is definitely the low. I'm going to buy here. Now it's at 18. When are you going to learn? When are you going to wake up and realize you got played by pirates? This scheme is as old as time. They're just using the computer to do it. The scheme is as old as time, but right now people are already hurting because of inflation. People are already hurting because of shortages, because of mismanagement at the federal level. I wonder what the governor is going to say about accepting taxes in crypto. I mean, can you imagine? Let's say you owe the state, you owe taxes, $5,000 in taxes. And you pay it in crypto. And then the next day, crypto drops 50% compared to the person that pays for it in dollars. Who's getting cheated? Who's really getting cheated there? See, the mayor of Miami wanted to promote cryptocurrency, Miami coin, and then the price of that dropped 95%. It's a scam. It's an old scam with just a new face. So I'll leave it there, but this is what you want to avoid. Is it not what you want to avoid? From both ends, really. Because there's a moment coming in the future where only the privileged will even have the option of doing this to pay the bills. And that's a future video. Nobody else will have any other option. I'll leave it there. God bless. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.